What's good, beautiful people? I hope you're having a fantastic day so far. Today, I want to talk about feeling stuck, especially for those of you within the UK. But again, this is applicable to anyone globally. And just that whole feeling of feeling stuck whilst you're watching all these people apparently be successful in their lives. Imagine a scenario where maybe, let's say, you're 34 years old, you're staring at your student loan and also commercial credit that you've taken out to support certain holidays and all that kind of stuff there. And then you're seeing your friends who have a mortgage, a partner, a dog, I don't know, they got kids, and they've been able to climb up the career ladder and do all these different things. And you're thinking, what the hell has happened to me? Now, the assumption is that all of those things are prerequisites for a successful life. But there are two issues with that. The first issue is, how do we know they're prerequisites for a successful life? Of course, I've listed those things, but these are some of the things that some people think about. And two, what is success? Like, what is success to you? And so this is really thinking about, how am I defining success for me? Of course, if those things define success for you in some way, shape or form, then of course that gives you something to measure your success on. But it does not necessarily mean you are delayed or you are failing in life. A delay can only come into play if you cannot do that thing anymore, or you've set those conditions to say that you are delayed. Therefore, this becomes how you speak to yourself. What are you feeding in your mind that makes you think the way you think? Of course, we should always put ourselves in positions where we're encouraging ourselves to be bigger, badder, bolder for the sake of winning, winning for ourselves, but not at the sake of, or at the expense of, or at the detriment of somebody else. But I say this to say, you're not failing and you're not delayed. Now, I kind of want to highlight why I believe you may be feeling this way, or at least part of the reason. I'm not going to know all the answers, but this may be part of the reason. Now, if we think about where the world has gone so far, okay, there is so much happening. Look at what's going on with Russia and Ukraine. Look at the tariff stuff that Trump has placed, okay? Look at all of the stuff that's happening in relation to the UK and the recent news that happened with NHS England and changes to the state and the increase in taxes when it comes to employees' national insurance contributions from 13.8% to 15%. Look at all of the things that have happened before when it comes to the rise in AI creating a threat to our jobs. You're seeing all these people who are like 16 to like 25 years old create their own service-based businesses or tech businesses and become millionaires overnight and all this kind of jazz. Look at all of the stuff that's happened with the pandemic, inflation, it being difficult to find a property. Stuff even before that. We're just going through a whole season, and this season's been going on for decades, where it's become even more difficult to win. Because it feels like life is battling against us. And I kind of highlighted at the end of my video yesterday some of the powers that be, or some of the systemic notions that influence our society, that create this microwave effect, that make us feel the way we feel. And it makes us feel like we're not good enough. And a big proponent of this is that social media helps to propagate this feeling. I mean, there are very real things that are happening right now. I know I talk about portfolio careers and all of that stuff there. I talk about it because, again, over the last 5 months, it's been the worst ever, I think, situation for, sort of like finding jobs and all that kind of stuff there. I think there have been 5 months straight of job cuts, and it's been the worst since 2011. It's crazy. So there are some very real things happening. People's jobs are being cut because of efficiency gains. People's jobs are being cut because people are finding more efficient ways to use technology and AI. It's harder for people to find a partner because people feel like, I guess it's difficult to find the right person right now Guys feel like they're not man enough, or they feel scared that they're gonna sort of like address women the wrong way. This is obviously from a heterosexual standpoint. And women feel like men are not men enough and there are no real men anymore. There's no gentlemen, all of this kind of stuff. Again, these are examples. I'm not saying these are the only reasons. And I have no clue what the market looks like right now. This is what I hear from my friends. So it just feels like a mess. It feels like a whole heap of a mess. But really and truly, the reality is like these different changes that are happening in our lives right now are very different to what it was in the 80s. I think the average age at which you could get a property back in the 80s was 26 years old. Now it's 34 years old. And it's actually not uncommon for some 40-year-olds to still be living at home with their parents. Madness. If you're looking at, say, for example, property prices back then, again, I wasn't alive, so I wouldn't know. But property prices here, London versus the rest of England, they're crazy. Crazy amounts. And so it's harder to get onto the property ladder. I say all of this stuff because I want you to recognize that even though you're seeing all this stuff, and I may be included in this, in terms of all of the opportunity that exists, and a lot of it may be real opportunity, like genuine, sincere opportunity, it is still harder than ever. It is. So you have to be a different type of human being. So this first part was just to say that your feelings are valid. They are very valid. You know, it's, and you can be in a camp where you're saying, oh, look, there's no point of him doing this video. Like, I'm just going to like bury my head in the sand, or I'm just going to stay where I'm at and leave it at that. And if that's your strategy, that's your strategy. That's fine. You can come off this video now. But for other people who are wanting a bit more, even just a little bit more, just wanting some sort of validation to say that they're doing the right thing in life, then I'm going to highlight some stuff. And of course, my way is not necessarily the right way. But even if it isn't the right way, and let's say you completely disagree with stuff I'm saying, I just hope it sparks some creativity in your mind to suggest what right looks like for you. I think that's the most important thing. It's not even about step one, step two, it's about what makes sense for you. And it's about addressing what do you need for yourself in order for you to feel like you're not a failure. We're always going to feel some level of, oh, I should have done this earlier, X, Y, and Z. I feel it myself. I'm doing all these YouTube videos and all this kind of stuff there. I wish I was able to do all this stuff much sooner. But I'm doing it now. Because the past has created a certain level of angst or pain or this or that. I'm not saying with YouTube videos, just in general, in order for me to take action. So that's what we need to start to think about. But it isn't easy. It isn't easy. And the final thing I want to say before I move on is there has to be a sense of, I want to say community to a degree, but I don't know if that's the right word. I feel like it's something deeper than that. Because we here in the UK at least, or at least in what's deemed as Western countries, find it very difficult to confide in other people and share your winnings and learnings and support each other and just grow together. There's this threat, you know, there's this whole sort of like, I need to be better than X, or I don't trust this person to say X, Y, and Z with. We have to find ways to sort of overcome this stuff. And there are quite a lot of events or things online or things offline that help to support this stuff. But anyway, I think the first thing that we need to do is to be honest with ourselves. And there's a balance between brutal honesty and loving honesty. And you may decide to do this with a loved one, actually. You may decide to do this with ChatGPT, Claude, or Gemini. However you decide to do it, honesty is the first policy. And you have to ask yourself, why are you in the position you're in right now? Why? And the response can't be the market. But you'll start to reflect and see if there were any decisions that you've made that prioritized this lifestyle that you're having right now over the lifestyle that you're looking for. And by lifestyle, I don't necessarily mean the beach life and da da da. I mean being in a position where you feel more proud of what you've done, because you've probably done stuff, but you haven't necessarily positioned yourself to recognize the stuff that you've done, no matter how big or small. So that's the first thing. Try to address why you are in the current position you're in as honestly as possible. Because once you address that, the next question becomes, what do you want to do about it? What do you want to do about it? I have something known as the pillars of mastery. And it's basically the wheel of life, but I've kind of like badged it my own way. And I've broken it down into performance, people, personal, and what's the other one? Progression, that's it. So progression is all centered around money, business, portfolio, career. Performance is centered around nutrition and physical health and spiritual health, which is mental and emotional. Then you've got people, which is centered around, romantic partnerships, family and friends, and community. And then you've also got personal, which is centered around personal development, hobbies, and like home maintenance and stuff like that. And so you can literally take some time, because it'll take some time, to list out what the current situation is for each of these things, and then highlighting what you would like the situation to be. But you're not going to try and tackle all of this stuff. Really, you could tackle just one of those things. And for most people, it's likely going to be something related to health, wealth, and relationships. Or relationships, should I say. So maybe you're picking out the people element, looking at the romantic partner part. Or maybe you're picking out the part that is focusing on progression, which centers around, let's say, the portfolio career. Or maybe you're focusing on the performance part, which is looking at nutritional health. But there's going to be one anchor that you're going to focus on. For many people right now, the reality is it's about money. It's about money. How can they make the money the way they want to make it? So let's say, for example, we are looking at money as an example. You're going to have to do an audit. When was the last time you did an audit? Like a strict audit. People don't want to hear this stuff. But auditing your expenses may be the key to understanding why things have been difficult. So your expenses will be put in different sort of like camps. So you'll have regular expenses, which you'll get on a weekly, monthly, quarterly, or annual basis. And then you'll get sporadic expenses, things that you just spend your money on. But you may not realize that the sporadic things you're spending your money on is actually becoming a monthly or weekly expense. Maybe it's Deliveroo. Maybe it's taking Uber. Maybe it is doing something else. So really analyze that, because once you analyze and break down your expenses, then you start to understand what habits and behaviors you're exuding regularly throughout time. So you may want to do that for the last month, for the last quarter, for the last year. You may want to use something like, I've forgotten the different ones, because I used to use something called Money Dashboard, but they got something else now. So I forget what one of the things are, but if I remember, I'll let you know in the box below. But you don't have to use that stuff. You can export an Excel spreadsheet, and if those of you are good at Excel, you can just break it down that way. Categorize all of the different expenses, and you can have your graphs and charts and all that kind of stuff there. You don't even need all of that stuff. You just need to understand, what are you paying for regularly? What subscriptions do you have? What bills do you have? How much is your mortgage payment? All of that kind of stuff there. Now, if there is some debt that you need to manage, you need to think about what your options are. And maybe you need to speak to I think it's Citizens Advice Bureau or your bank, to try and get some ideas centered around what to do. And of course, you can get some advice from a financial advisor if you can either, one, afford it, or two, get that information for free. But educate yourself. There's Money Saving Expert, okay? So if you go onto that website, there is plenty of advice in terms of how you can approach this for free. But the point being made is, how can you get yourself out of a situation that you may be in? Because if you are in debt, for example, then maybe you have to spend the next 12 to 24 months getting yourself out of that debt so you can start to live the life that you want to live. This is why you have to start with honesty. If you don't start with honesty, it's not going to work out. Now, some people may say, can't I just blast my way out by starting a business X, Y, and Z? Yes, I talk about portfolio careers. Yes, I talk about business. But it's hard to do, you know. It's not. Don't like like it becomes easier when you know who your audience is and you know what your marketing message is and you got the right product market or service market fit. But when you don't have that at the beginning, I'm telling you, you'll be banging your head against the wall. So you have to get very realistic with how can I at least manage my current expenses at least anyway. So the next thing is thinking about what can you do to put yourself in a position where you're more valuable. Like, what does that look like? And what I mean by that is, and Jim Rohn said something to this degree, how do you validate or show value to the marketplace? Because the marketplace will pay money for people they believe are valuable. So you have to think to yourself like, okay, maybe you are working a 9 to 5 right now. How do I present value even more so? Does it require, and maybe a recruiter can tell you this or somebody in the position that you want to get into or whatever it may be, does it require you to spend some time to know how to position your, let's say for example, your CV and stuff? Does it require you to take some further education or further learning? Like, what does it take? And some of the answers that you'll discover you'll not like. But you have to tell yourself, do I still want to feel like I'm a failure? I'm delayed, X, Y, and Z. This is not me saying you are. This is based on how you may be feeling. It's all based on feeling. I've always said this. We chase feeling all the time. And so we have to understand, yes, this is how I feel, but how can I get out of it tangibly? So do I need to better articulate myself? Do I need to better position myself? Do I need to take on learning? Do I need to speak to the right people? Do I need to practice some stuff? What do I need to do? Like, what do I need to do to become valuable? And so it has to be valuable to the right stuff, because you need to show, or at least understand, how do I understand or know what demand looks like for the thing that I'm trying to get better at? I have to even decide what that thing is. You may know what that thing is because you've already done the research, or you've been wanting to do this thing for a while, or you're currently doing that position, but you just need to progress. Understand, how do you cater towards demand? Big important thing. And that will help solve a lot of problems. Even though, and of course the nature of my videos may change down the line because of what's happening with government and all this kind of stuff there, but even though these different cuts are happening, I still believe there will be opportunity for individuals within the consulting and contracting space. It's just going to look different. Now, it may not even favor someone like me. I say someone like me because I'm doing these videos, obviously. But what I'm saying is that it will still be there. And so there is some learning to be done about how do you adapt and transition and iterate along the journey as changes come about. That's what it comes down to. It's about relevancy. It's about adaptability. It's about how do you maneuver. And it's exhausting because you may have kids. You may have a wife or husband or boyfriend or girlfriend or fiancés. You may have parents that you're looking after. You may have other dependents that you're looking after. You've got your current working situation or non-working situation. You've got the business that you're trying to set up and develop. There's all these things. And yet I have to now think about how I can be more adaptable. The answer is yes. Otherwise, just stick to doing what you're doing. That's where we're at right now. It's such a peak situation, I can't lie. But, you know, we're all feeling it, including me. And I'm doing these videos because I'm going through this journey myself. This is why I do these videos, because I've seen some of the other side. I can never say I've completely seen the other side, but I've seen some of the other side. From when I decided I wasn't going to do permanent 9 to 5 anymore and decided to go into the contracting space and decided to do all this other stuff that I'm doing. And it still could be peak. So we have to understand where we're at and understand how fragile our foundations may be and what we need to do in order to build strong foundations. I guess the other thing is there anything you can invest in? So, before this, we're speaking about portfolio career / consulting / business. Like, how do you make yourself more valuable? But is there anything that you can invest in? Anything at all? Maybe it is a skill. Maybe it's some time. Maybe it is a specific stock. Maybe it is property if you've got the additional capital. Can you release capital anywhere in order to make more capital? Can you make revenue anyway? Like, what can you do to invest into something that makes you more money? And typically, it's usually the boring, unsexy stuff that makes you, or what is where the opportunities lie. But I remember seeing a comment a couple of weeks back where this lady was saying that I wasn't saying anything new and all this kind of stuff there, and she was correct. I wasn't saying anything new. New is not always better. Sometimes you just need to hear the same information again and again and again before change happens. And so think to yourself, what can you do to invest in something? So it's not just money. Sometimes it's time and energy. Because what gives you these sort of like ideas to invest in something is some data, some intel, something that gives you an idea that makes you think that I can bet on this growing or doing well. So some people may bet on something in relation to technology, AI, blockchain, all that kind of stuff there, or health, all this kind of stuff there, because of the trends that they've seen. And therefore they're like, I need to develop this skill, and or I need to invest in this. So I have friends who have invested in Azure training and AI development, and also some industries in relation to AI and healthcare, all of this kind of stuff there, because they've seen the trend from early. And of course, they will or may get returns out of it later on if nothing drastic changes, but it's a bet that you're making. That's what happens with investments. And so think about all of this different stuff. But I guess what I will say is, and I've said this before, when it comes to your career, or at least portfolio career, see what the government's doing, because that does affect the state of the country. You can see now that there is this big move towards removing or making things more efficient. Okay, he's removing these quangos. I think that's such a weird word. But they're like arm's length bodies and all these administrative arms that have supported the government in the past, but they want to make it more efficient. But is there an opportunity in that stuff? Is there an opportunity? Like, will there be strategic expertise required, analytical expertise required, additional support or gaps filled, all of that kind of stuff there? Where's the opportunity? I think there are like 27 odd quangos that he may set up potentially as he's removing some of this stuff. But are there opportunities to lean into it? From the healthcare standpoint, from the AI and tech standpoint, from the Great British Energy standpoint. These are all things to think about. These are all things to think about. So that's what I want to say there. But what I also think is important is talking and meeting different people. Trust me, over the last couple of years, I've been in my shell. I've definitely been in my shell. Pre-pandemic, I was out and about, networking a lot, this, that, da. And over the last couple of years, I've just been, I wouldn't say, I don't know what the word is, but I've just been channeling my own chi, should we say. But in the same vein, slowly but surely over the last couple of months, been trying to go to this event, that network, meet with this person, blah, blah, blah. Because whether we like it or not, people make the difference. And the connections and the opportunity you get through different connections can really help accelerate you. Not in a superficial way, but in a very organic way. So if you can find opportunities to meet with people on a regular basis, not just friends and family, but people you don't know, just to spread your wings, it may make you feel quite different actually. And it may give you a lease of energy that you never had before, irrespective of whether you're extroverted or introverted. You can still be either of those things, but how you behave in those different situations will be different, but can also still be beneficial. In the same vein, you have to manage what you see on the socials, man. I'm telling you. My friend Prince, yeah, he does every single year. He does a 100-day challenge. And he cuts off social media for 100 days. You can't contact him through Instagram, TikTok, this, that. And he's all over the place. He does public speaking, coaching, all that stuff. He just cuts off for 100 days. And he comes back renewed. So when he does come back, you know, providing great motivation to the people and stuff, you can see the energy. This guy's been living in a different world. So if you can find ways to just minimize the socials, either get rid of it, put on timers, whatever you need to do, then do it. It's hard to do because they create the algorithms in such a way where it's controlling our behavior, because it's based on relevancy and FOMO and all of this kind of stuff there. But you need to tell yourself you're better. Or if it doesn't affect you, not too much of an issue. But if it does, find ways to manage that. Anyway, I'm rambling on now, but I want to get through this. I guess the point I'm trying to make to you guys, yeah, is that it's very difficult right now, but it's still possible to create a winning scenario for your life. It's still very possible. I wholeheartedly believe that. Otherwise, I'd not be trying to do what I'm doing. I'm not even talking about YouTube. I'm talking about like outside of all of that stuff. I would not be trying. And you have to find cracks in the system. Don't let the system beat you down. Sometimes the less information you know, the better. And there is almost like a childlike innocence that enables you to just win. Many of you have been in conversations where people are saying, oh, we need to leave, go to a different country, do this, that. And that might be part of the answer, because I do think environment affects us. But this environment is also important too. I'm telling you, this environment. And there has to be this dogged energy of no one is ever going to make me feel a certain way. I am responsible for that. Not no socials, not no person, not no family, not no friends, not anybody online. Nah, it's me. It's up to me. What is meant to be is up to me. Speak what you seek until you see what you said. All of that stuff. As a man and woman thinketh, so is she and he. So sometimes we have to go back to that base, deep sense of belief and personal development before we can get out. But you have to believe in self. You have to. It's one of the biggest challenges I personally have. Believing in self. And some people may say, oh, you're lying, whatever it may be. You talk this way, blah, blah, blah. I mean, it may appear that way, but the other way around, it's not something that comes to mind all the time. And so what I've worked out and what other people have said to me is it's about belief. I'm telling you, be live or be live. Okay? Be it. To believe, you have to be it. And for some people who are like, they don't believe in the be, do, have, whatever, you can follow whatever framework you want. But to be anything is a state. You're in a state. And so therefore it's contingent on your psychology to be in a state of winning, to be in a state of being happy to be alive, to be in a state of I'm grateful. Gratitude is one of the biggest things, I'm telling you, because once you start to be grateful, things are different. And it's not just to be grateful because, you know, there's an exercise that says write down what you're grateful for every single day. No, because you're truly grateful. This is why you have to start off with, where are you at right now? So hopefully that's given you some insight, potentially some inspiration too. But I don't know who you are. Whether you like me, don't like me, agree with me or not, I hope it's inspired you in a positive way as much as possible. If you want to see more videos centered around portfolio careers, I guess inspiration, leadership, all of that kind of stuff there, then don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And as always, my friends, understand, reach and expand. Peace.